Hey guys, Coach Brian from Minlax. Here to show you how to install the new Moccasin Pocket that we've got out. Get this in a couple local stores here in Minneapolis, Minnesota area, and hopefully coming soon to someplace closer to you guys if not. Start off with, show you the packaging. We got the back of the pack, so you can see we've got all the information you're going to need, and it's also some links to the website. We got all the stringing guides, tutorials, video guides just like this. Maybe that's how I found it. And we've got the UPC, or the QR code. Give that a shot with your smartphone. It'll take you right to the site. So inside the kit, you basically get one of these, a Moccasin Pocket. Yours aren't going to have the little branded piggy and any of the wording on there, or the, if we're looking at the inside, the V-style shooter we've got in there. Those are options you guys can do. We'll have other video tutorials on how you can put those in there and how you can put them in at different angles if you want coming across through here. So again, this is the Moccasin Pocket. It's our piece of leather. It's been cut, all stitched together, broken in, ready to go, nice and soft. And again, lots of other options. We can do stuff like with branding images in there. If you like cartoon piggies, you're in luck, because that's about all I can draw right now. So we're going to go ahead and install this guy. I've got a STX Stallion, and we're going to go ahead and start throwing this head together. So we're going to start, we need a couple pieces of string. So we're going to need 3 46-inch pieces of string, and we're also going to need one 26-inch piece of string. 26-inch for the bottom, the other 3 are top on our side walls. So we'll go ahead and get started with that. So we're going to start stringing this. You guys will be looking at the back of the head. So I'm going to take, again, back of the pocket's what you're seeing. I'm going to go ahead and put it into my second sidewall hole here. I think is where it's going to go well. So I'm going to take one of the strings, go ahead, slide it in through that hole, and as you guys can see, I've got a couple twists through here. That's all up to you what you guys want to leave on there. So I've got this, and I'm just going to go ahead and tie this off. It doesn't have to be super permanent because we're going to adjust it to make sure it's centered left and right. So we'll go ahead, just tie that guy kind of temporary, and we'll finish that off. Now we're going to go to the other side, do that same thing. Make sure we got the same amount of twists over here, as you can see. And I'm just going to bring in our string, do that second hole, and we'll get ready to go ahead and tie that off. And we'll make sure we keep those twists nice and even. So we'll come in here, tie this guy down, and we're getting ready to center this. Alright, and again, this knot doesn't have to be super permanent. We'll probably be adjusting it here in just a second. So we've got those hanging in there, and it's just kind of floating around. So as we can kind of see, we're going to want to get this so it's nice and centered straight up here. Using these holes is going to help us out a lot. So we'll make sure we're kind of lined up. This one's pretty close. Before I'm going to finish that off, I'm going to go ahead and install the first part of the top string. Cross lace or sidewall works really well. I kind of like cross lace, and what you want to do is cut one of the ends and then really try and get some pressure, slide it all the way down, and if there's any extra slack on there, or if the core separates, get that nice and tight, and that'll help get you a stiffer string going through there. So we're going to start coming in here right through the top. Going to bring the string below this top, our shooting string, the Moccasin Pocket. We just bring our string right in through these holes. Make sure you're getting below the shooting string up in through here. Into the hole, but below that, it's going to give you the maximum hold on there. So we're going to go ahead and pull half of that end through. We're going to take the other end, put it through the other hole here, and we'll go ahead and slide that through, and pull that through. Don't get super tight just yet. And then we're going to want to make sure both of these ends are the same length. So we'll go ahead, back these out, and tighten just a little bit. Alright, and now these two ends, same length of string. That's going to work out. Alright, and once again, we'll have you guys looking at the back for our reference. So, we're going to bring the first string on one side. It's going to come up the inside of the head, and it's going to go through the top hole here in the plastic. I spin that if it gets a little twisted up, and then we're going to take the other side. We're going to do the same. Bring it through the first hole in the plastic there, and have it hanging out. Now we can pull these, and it's going to kind of, as you can see, it's going to raise or lower this pocket. So now we're going to spin this thing to the side, And you're going to want to grab a lacrosse ball. This one will work well. And put that inside the pocket here. And you can see where we're going to start to back this out. Let that ball sit right in the pocket. Get you guys a good shot here. Actually, we'll go ahead and raise this camera up. That should give you guys a better view. So again, you go ahead, bring the ball in through here, and try and line that up. There we go. And so again, we only want legal pockets. We want to make sure that's nice and within our range there. Alright, you can bring that in a little bit. And then if we need to raise or lower that, we can just pull on our 2 strings on the top and adjust that height. So we'll go ahead, lower this back down so you guys can see again. Alright. And so now I'm just going to go ahead, like, hop in the camera view too. So we're going to come in here, line everything up, and I'm going to want to bring my top up a little bit more. A nice mid pocket with this. Alright, and then once you have your pocket where you want it to be, and our top string coming through here, get that nice and even. Yeah, it's going to work out. And what I like to do is just nice little easy knot here, and again, we're going to be adjusting this. So we're just going to kind of anchor this in place here. Quick little knot. And not the end of the world if it's not the most tight or not, we're going to change it. So we've got that on there. Now's a great time for us to make sure this is centered right down the middle of our head. So as I'm looking here, this is lined up at the beginning of this hole. This side here lined up at the beginning of this hole. So I think I'm pretty good. I'm going to go ahead, tighten these knots just a little bit on the side, and then we'll get going. Some of you guys putting it in there, it might be a little to the left, a little to the right. Just tighten whatever side you need to, loosen the other side, and you're good to go. So we got that side tightened up. We'll go ahead and finish this knot over here. Get that nice and snug. And we'll go ahead and tie it off. And again, this is the string that comes installed in all the Moccasin Pockets, straight across there, and then it becomes our shooting string. So, we've got that. Now we need to start thinking about our bottom string. So, we're going to go ahead. I like to use one of these pocket spreaders, pocket expanders. Works pretty well. Jam everything together. So, we're going to put that into our stick where we want to pocket. Clearly that's not going to be legal, so we're going to sneak it back in. I've actually got this one marked where a legal pocket's going to sit, and so that's going to work out just fine. So that's going to kind of balance in place ever so slightly here. And we just want to make sure that's kind of centered, it's not pushing over to one side, and it's not popping out like this is right now. So once we got that, now we got a good idea of where our pocket's going to sit on the head. Now we're going to start and get our bottom string going here. So we're going to take one of those 26-inch bottom strings and start up. And we're actually going to come in, as you guys can see here. I'm going to start by coming in these holes towards the bottom down here. So go ahead and get this in. And I'm going to need to go ahead and raise the camera up again so you guys can see this. Alright. So, we're actually going to start another little step back here. Since I've got a stallion and I've got some holes that are fairly wide down here on the bottom of the throat, I'm going to kind of double up this bottom string. So we're going to go ahead and put a knot in it. Real simple, nothing fancy. One end over the other. Pull that guy through. Pull it tight and it's ready to go. So now I'm actually going to start on the outside of those 4 bottom holes. Bring it through once. I'm going to bring it through a second time, and because there's room, I'll bring it through a third time. And that's going to help keep that snug. It's not going to let it slide around any. Again, pull that nice and tight, and bring that in for the third time. Try and keep that even. It'll stay nice and coiled there. And just pull that tight, and it's ready to go. So now we've got that coming up from the bottom. And what we need to do with that is it's going to come, you can see here, we're going to start bring it in from the back side. So we'll go ahead, spin the head around. You guys are looking at the back. And we're going to start coming in through one of these holes here. Start on the outside and through our bottom hole. So we're going to bring the string in. Whoops. I'll try and keep it in camera. So bringing that through there, and pulling this bottom string up. And, whoops, tell you what, if I do it on the right side, it'll actually work a lot better. So I'll go ahead and do that. So we're just going straight up from that hole in the bottom, not like I just did there, trying to mess you guys up. So again, I go to this outside hole from the back of it, pushing that through, and we'll go ahead and pull that up and in. And now, we can kind of set our pocket expander in there, and it's going to help hold that shape. And then we'll pull our bottom string down, tighten everything in place. So now I've got pocket expander in there. And again, make sure you're nice and centered. We don't want anything spinning around, going crazy on us. And then I can start to tighten down this bottom string. And so I'm going to go ahead and bring it into the second hole, right next to where we started. Feed the string through there. And I'm just going to pull it all the way through. Alright, now you can start to see that. So now we need to start putting some tension on this side. So we're going to feed just a little bit more through here. Alright, that's starting to get kind of tight through there. We don't want to get too tight just yet because we have to go all the way across. And I'm having a couple problems here with my pocket expander. Alright, that should work out. You can also use a ball and a butter knife. That works great. I was going to use my pocket expander. Thought it would save me some time. It's kind of letting me down right now. But that's alright. We'll go from there. And so now, back to our bottom string. We've got our part hanging down that we just did. That's going to go straight down now into the next hole on the bottom of our throat. Bring that string, actually we'll go ahead and move over one. So it's going to go to diagonal now. So that's coming across like that. I'm now going to bring it back up through the hole we just skipped over and kind of start pulling that tight. Now what I want to do is just twist it around here a couple times. Depending on how low your pocket's going to be, you can go 1 or 2 twists. It's all up to you. And we'll go ahead. We'll throw a third twist on there. Why not? And again, kind of spin those. Keep that tension on there. Nice and even. And now what we want to do is come, again, from the back. I'm going to come now into the inside hole here. This first one, bring my string through, and it's not crucial that you string around a pocket pounder or a pocket expander or a ball, but it does kind of help out the first couple times we're doing these. So now we got that, and now I'm just going to go ahead and bring it out from the other side. So it's going to join us back over here, and you can see it's starting to poke out. Just grab that and pull through. And now we can start tightening that down. I'll have some more slack to pull out. That pocket's going to get a bit too much. And again, so now we're just going to start working our slack through. Alright. And you kind of pull the string slowly through. And again, now we're going to adjust that through our twists. Get all that nice and even, get that slack pulled through. And then start back up the other side. And again, pull that slack through. And I'll bring that pocket down to where you want it. And again, watch that, if you got a ball in there with a knife with a pocket expander like I have, make sure it's not sliding around. If you do, just keep adjusting it. So now we're starting to get a much better looking bottom string on here. Just make sure we've got all of our tensions nice and even. You don't want one side that pulls more than the other side. So, and once we're getting ready to finish this guy off, this string just goes down here into the bottom. And now we just need to start adjusting this once again. I'm going to go ahead, throw a lacrosse ball in here just to make sure we're getting the right idea. And so we got that. That's looking pretty good through there. You guys can see that pocket's just going to sit in there. And I'm going to go ahead and tighten this guy down just a bit more still. And we'll start from the side where we have our knot. And just start pulling that string through. Again, work it through the twist. And then just start pulling the rest of the slack up. And then once again, pull through on the other side. And I'm just pulling this slack through, and then we'll go ahead and bring it back up. And I'll finish that off. Alright, and we'll come back down through our bottom hole. And then once again, we're just going to loop this around a couple times. Keep that nice and tight and stop it from sliding around. And once more through there. And kind of slide it from the top. Check it out from all angles, make sure I haven't pulled one side a little tighter than the other. If you have, it's not the end of the world. We can always go back and tighten these, loosen these up a little bit. So, now I've got that. Our pocket's going to be sitting where we want it. I'm going to go ahead, tie off this bottom right here, just like we did over on this side. So, same knot, we're just looping it around, and then we pull the end through. Really important that when you're doing these knots, try and force that knot all the way against the plastic. That's going to help you keep the best tension on your strings. Alright, so we got that. We've got our bottom string in place. Once this is all strung up, this is tight, the ball's not going to pop out through down there. Right now, Mike, so we don't have any sidewalls. So we'll go ahead and get on that pretty quick here. So we've got our bottom string in place. Now we need to make sure we're getting our top string. So go ahead, lower this back down, and we'll get to work. So again, we'll go ahead and let you guys see the inside for this time. And what we have is our top that's just kind of hanging there. We're going to go ahead, untie the little temporary knot we did, and we'll get to work getting this top string done. Alright, so now once again we can kind of check, make sure this is where we want it. You don't want to pull too tight at this point, because then that's going to goof up where we had our bottom string. So if you need to, take the crossball, jam it in there, and then raise this up, pull both of them, keeping them even. Get that pocket right where you want it to sit. So that's going to be good. Now we simply just want to start tying these off like you're doing a Iroquois top string. So again, I'll let you guys look in the inside. So I'm just coming around the front, and I just use a standard knot for up top here. It's going to help anchor it in place rather than just looping it over once. So go ahead and tie that. And again, this doesn't have to be super tight and permanent just yet, because we will do some adjustments. I like to go do one side, then do the other, then do one, and move across rather than all one side at once. A lot of times you'll end up getting it kind of kinked up like that if you do. So we'll go ahead and do it this way. And again, just going to bring this around. The string goes then back over the top here, coming in through the hole, pulling that down, and then you can see we get this little lip here in the front. That just drops right through there. And we're going to pull that tight. If you guys need to learn how to do all these knots, I've got a ton of other videos that really break these down, but we're going to kind of gloss over that for right now. So again, just going to kind of tighten that up a little bit. And now we're starting, we want to make sure this is nice and even. I like using these lines, the string with strikers in them, a little different colors. You can kind of count, it's a lot easier than trying to measure each segment. So if we count through here, looks like we've got 1, 2, 3, and the fourth's just starting to show. And then here, 1, 2, 3, there's our fourth. So, and you can also kind of look at it just to make sure it's not crooked. If it is, straighten it out, no big deal. So it looks like I need to come in just a little bit on this side. So we're just going to bring that up, kind of pull it around from the back, and then go ahead and tighten this off. So that one's where I want it, and this one's where I want it. So we're looking good for our top string. Alright, now we're going to move over across the head. So I'm going to bring this string, now from this time, first one we came in from the back, and now we're going to come in from the front. Actually, you know what? This one's a little bit loose down here at the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and tighten this up. Bear with me just a second. Alright. Again, great time for me to talk about the other Minlags video guides, tutorials. If you need any other help, string mesh, traditional, all sorts of stuff, how to cut your own leathers, kind of tools you'll need, check that out. Or you can go straight to the YouTube page at lacrossestringingvideos.com, just like it's spelled. And if you can't spell it, well, I can't help you. Alright, so we'll go ahead and bring this back up, retie this knot. Some of you guys wanted to see it again, here's your chance. So, bring that around, again in from the back, bring it through, loop down through here, and that starts to cinch upon itself. So again, I'm looking for 1, 2, 3, coming into that fourth dot, my fourth striker, see 1, 2, 3, and there's that fourth one. Just go ahead and tighten this a little bit, and that should be good. And again, we can always come back and change these up a little bit if we need to. That's looking pretty straight, going across there. Alright. So, now we're going to come in, move them across the head. Now we're going to come at it from the front. And I'm going to skip a hole, that one there, and come into my next hole here. Be right under here. And depending on what kind of top string, what kind of holes you have across the top, it's going to change which of these holes you're going to use. Some of you guys are going to go every single one. If we wanted, I could come up and use each hole. I'm just going to use the 2 here in the middle and the 2 here on the outside. Lots of different options. But again, came in from the front, so now it's going to come back around. And so it's kind of curling in front right there, as you can see. And now I'm going to bring this end up to this hole here. And we're going to do that same knot we did here in the middle. So we're just going to bring it around the front. It's coming back through the back, in through the hole in the plastic, and then we're going to drop it down through there. And again, it doesn't have to be super tight just yet, because I'm going to kind of do this side, and then we'll tighten it at the same time. So again, I'm coming from the front. We're just going to drop in, skipping a hole, coming into this next one, and then again, make sure you get under both of those nylons going across there in that shooting string. It's going to help get the best tension on there. And as we're stringing this down, we don't want these to become loose. If these became loose, we pulled these strings too tight. So we're going to back those up a little bit, because we don't want to goof up the tension that we already worked out. And again, if we do, it's not the end of the world. It can always be changed. So there we go. And let's back that one a little bit. Alright. And again, that comes around from the back, loops up the front there, and it's going to come into this far hole. So you can see that. And then we'll go ahead for the tie off on this. And loop around. And in the back, through the hole in the plastic, down the little loop. Alright. So now we want to tighten these next segments. So we've got our top part, and again, if you want to, you can get that ball in there. That'll kind of hold out from there. So when we push it out, we can see where we want our pocket. Looking pretty good. I don't like to have the deepest pocket ever. I kind of rely on ball skill, hand skill. You don't have to worry about it. And so we'll keep going. So our tension up here, nice and tight. And again, making sure this is staying straight coming across. If it's a little goofy, you probably have one side tighter than the other like I have right here. So we'll loosen that, and that's going to drop this side down. And again, we'll check our tensions, nice and snug, nice and snug. There we go, and come across. We can go ahead and make some adjustments over here on this side. We are a little bit loose. And so just kind of tighten that, pull a little bit through. And again, you can go across with that ball or even your hand pushing that out. You can kind of see our tensions across the top. Nice and snug, not really moving. That one's a little bendy, we need to tighten that part. This guy over here is fine. So, just need to keep tightening this knot, pull a little bit more of that slack through, and get that cinched down. And you can also go back and count the strikers through there if you need to check for the exact length. And as we're coming through, looks good, looks good. Alright. And make sure that's tight, anchor it in. Alright. So again, I'll let you guys check out the front. Hopefully if you're following along at home, this is what you've got going on. And now we're just going to bring this tail piece into our last hole here on the side. And again, making sure we're going under both of those shooting strings woven through the top of the leather, and have it pull out the back. Wrap it around through that gap there, and then we're going to come over here to our first hole on the side. You guys can see there. Just going to loop through. And once again, I've got these longer holes on the stallion head, so I can go ahead and loop it through there a couple times. We'll hold off on tying that until we get everything tied down once again. So we do the same thing on this far side. With that, we're going to bring it through this last hole, making sure we're going under both of those shooting strings. It's through there, and we're going to bring it from the back around through there, so you can see. There we go. And I'm going to go into this hole here on the top. Alright, so starting to get that, and then you're going to want to kind of eyeball it and see if you're getting a little bit crooked or if it's nice and straight through there. You want it to curl up just a little bit through there across the top. Some guys have that curl up a lot more, it's going to create a lot more whip. If it's perfectly flat, you're not going to have a whole lot of whip, and hope you got a lot of follow through when you're passing your shot. So you've got that set up in there. It's looking pretty good. Nice and even, keeping those tensions on there. Looks nice. Alright, so now to tie this off over here, I guess I can spin this around so you can see it. I'm going to go ahead, bring that up from the top, and I'm going to loop this around. And it's just going to come back in again. Right there. And then we're going to go ahead and do that a second time. So just going to loop one more time through here. See the end kind of poking out. Go ahead and pull that. So we've got that there. It's looking pretty good. And again, make sure you don't pull that too tight at the last second and change all your angles up. We're looking pretty good. Alright, so I can go ahead and put a knot in there. Alright, that side's good. Spin around over here again. Let's make sure this thing's looking nice and square. Put it in there. Alright. And we'll go ahead and do the same thing. We're going to loop around a couple times. So I'm through there once. We're going to loop in a second time. And we'll go ahead and loop through again. And then tie off. And again, this is just going to kind of help anchor that in place. We could just loop it in there once and tie off. But putting it on there, it's going to put some tension on it, and it's going to hang out in the same spot. So, once again, tie this guy off after we give it that last look on the top. And that's looking good. Alright. And again, try and get that knot as close to the plastic as you can. At this point, it'd probably be great if my fingers were clear. But as you've heard from my past videos, they are not. Still working on it. No such luck yet. Alright, so we've got that. We've got our top string in place. Again, if we need to, we can always tighten this a little bit later. Always loosen it up. But this is going to, our gold string through here is what controls, that's our shooting string. It's going to control the release, the trajectory of the ball. If you're throwing and passes, keeps going at the goalie's feet, we want to loosen this up a little bit. If you're throwing, if you're shooting and it goes way over the goalie's head, tighten this down a little bit. You're going to need some more whip. Good idea is we can kind of, to get the feel of that, kind of making your hand, kind of the shape of the ball, get in the pocket, and then just kind of coming up the top. And you should feel on your knuckles, right at the top here, a little bit of resistance. And that's what's going to trigger the ball to release from the head rather than smack off the top. If you're bringing your knuckles through there and it feels like it catches and really hangs, you probably have a lot of whip. Really use that test on any style of pocket. Just kind of get a decent idea of what it's going to do without tossing. So, we're all done here with our top string and our bottom string. We're going to go ahead, kill this video, start up another one for doing our sidewalls, and I'll see you guys over on that side. But thanks for sticking through this point, and we'll go ahead and get our sidewalls going in the next video.